All right, Damo, we're back, and today we're going to go through some of the episodes that we've done, Jake. Because obviously you weren't here for all of them, but I think it's important that people get an insight after 60 episodes what I've learned from a lot of these guests, because we've got a lot of high-level individuals that we've had on the podcast.
Yep.
And I've learned so much from them. But what's been really gratifying for me is like reading some of these comments. I don't know if you've seen this one. This one's for you.
Is it?
Yeah. Don't get your big head.
Is it a wrap?
No, look, listen to this one. This was after Peter Mattautia.
Yes.
Yeah, if I got to get this right. This is what he said. This was 19 hours ago. What a champion bloke. Great podcast, boys. Jake has been a great addition to this podcast. His input and genuine sincerity goes a long way to helping others open up and be vulnerable. This is helping more people than you realise. Thanks.
Oh, that's
so this
cool.
guy here, 46,
Yeah.
he's actually great. I think he's one of our biggest supporters.
Yep.
He really genuinely loves the show.
Yep.
And, you know, some of his comments have been probably the backbone of why I enjoy doing it. You know, and there's been so many great comments like, you know, there was this short of Keith Galloway, great interview, Mets.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's so much reinforcement and great feedback on the work that we're doing. And obviously the numbers are growing. We're getting noticed by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made a huge difference. And I think today's episode is going to be about going through some of these episodes.
Yep.
And what they meant to me and the biggest takeaways.
Yep.
And also talking about the Jack de Belin,
Yes,
how he got
today.
exonerated and everything was dropped against him.
And there's a police officer that tampered with evidence. That's sort of what it's alleged at the moment.
You know, just going to that quickly, right?
Yep.
I know people that are very close to Jack and very, very close, to be honest, like firsthand. And during that incident, I had met Jack in Wollongong.
Yep.
And he was, funny enough, we're going to a recovery place that I was going to see back then. And, you know, from my sources back then, and a very good source, I knew he wasn't in the wrong, but he had to go through the process. And one thing I was told back then, that he's going to get through this, but there's a long road.
Yeah, and it was.
And it was a long road. And kudos to Jack for training through that and coming back from that. But let me ask you this. What would it feel like for you if the police tampered with the evidence and you know you're innocent and it's right through the media, they want to rub you out of the game that you've played all your life? And mind you, he was at the top end of his career before that. I think he played for New South Wales. He played for Australia too. Did he represent Australia? But he was at the top of his game.
Talk about it, yeah.
You know what I mean? He was at the top of his game. So I couldn't imagine what he was going through. Like, he needed great people around him, obviously. And to his credit, when he was suspended, he was still, I seen him in the Gong. He was still training. He was still doing his recovery work. And no one sees this, Jake.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest thing I sort of think about when I read that heading today, Mets, was what's the motive behind that? Why would someone think to do that to someone? Because from what I read, if that didn't happen, it didn't go to court. It went to court based off what...
You know what that tells me? Someone in the family of whoever may have had a hand in possibly viewing it that way. Because why would a police officer with no motive, no nothing, do that to someone? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, that kind of tells me that the system is broken and it's very hard. Like, obviously, there are players that are going to be in the wrong position, and you know they should really, really look at their environment. Yeah. Look at their environment, because your environment is going to put you in positions and in places that you may be innocent, but things can happen, especially when you're front and center in the media, you know, and you're playing a sport, you know, the cameras are on you, the lenses are on you, because at the end of the day, the media has to write a story.
And it sells papers.
And it sells papers and viewership and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, right, that was, for a long time, he was getting called, you know, a rapist or an alleged rapist. And the thing is that it sort of irks me with the media in some ways is, in the headings, they always say found not guilty. They never say innocent. Same with Jared Haynes stuff.
Yeah.
They never say innocent
100%.
because that's the verdict, innocent, but they don't write that word. They write not guilty.
Well, and what they don't do is come out publicly and say, we apologise, we got it wrong. You know, because at the end of the day, that individual's name has somewhat been tarnished.
Yes.
Obviously, Jack to a lesser degree than Jared Hayne.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you know, it's a tough pill for any person to swallow.
Well, yeah, it was years off his career. You know, he got declined
100%.
playing two full seasons. I'm pretty sure, as you said, playing State of Origin at the time, and you know, he's finishing the back end of his career extremely strong. He still looks fit.
Yeah.
I think he's starting at lock. So he's still got the legs underneath him. So maybe, you know, there's a positive that he may get an extra 1 or 2 years. Maybe he's represented PNG at international level. Maybe he gets the opportunity to go be a
Who's
part of it.
Papua New Guinea in his family?
Mate, to be honest, I think it's, and this is me strictly guessing, I'm pretty sure it was a grandmother.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Because I can't see any...
Well, mate, he you know...
No, he's got blonde hair.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He's 6'3" and you know,
Yeah.
he looks like Thor. So there's but you know, there's a connection there. Maybe he gets a couple of years up in the PNG to bring them along. Who knows? You know, footy has a funny way of coming full circle. Another thing, Paul Kent, talk about full circle, start to bring a podcast out.
Okay, yeah, I listened to that, and you sent me the little clip of Chimes.
Yep.
Steve Gillies is a good friend of mine.
Yep.
Who'll be here at Titan Fitness tomorrow. But mate, that was a great interview. Chimes is exceptional, mate. Have you ever seen him as a speaker at big events?
He sounds like he knows the questions to ask, and then he allows the person he's interviewing or speaking to. He just lets them speak, and then he sort of just, as his name, just chimes in.
Yeah, I know. But what was interesting, obviously, I watch a lot of NRL 360, and to be honest, I like tuning in to see Paul Kent. Even though sometimes you may not like what he says, and especially when it comes to players that are in trouble.
Yes.
And he says that the full force has to, you know, be thrown at the players.
Yep.
I don't totally agree with that.
Yep.
I believe people deserve second chances. I believe, you know, they have to create the right environment in and around that individual.
Yep.
Whether it be like, you know, Ezra Mann, who was, you know, done for drinking, and you know, they've obviously given him a hefty suspension and a massive fine. But you know, Paul Kent would have been all over that. He would have been all over that. But you know, going to you, and we were talking during the week, where Paul Kent sort of gets it wrong. It's not what he says on TV. Because, you know, people want that controversy. People love it.
Yep.
It's not what he says there. It was the position he put himself into.
Yep.
Look, again, you know, I wasn't happy with what the media done to him either. Because he was cleared of any wrongdoing to sexual assault to his wife. He was pushed against another individual against that assault when he had, you know, well, how many schooners did he have?
They said he had 21 in 11 hours.
He said it wasn't
he
much.
tried to say it's not much. Trust me, 21
Mate,
schooners anywhere is enough.
If you seen the haymaker, I'm not, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If someone said that to me too, I don't know how I'd react. But what I do agree with Paul Kent when I was listening to that interview, right? It's not about agreeing or not agreeing, but he almost went back 30 years ago. You know, he goes, back 30 years ago, you know, if someone said that to you, sort it out.
Yeah.
Right? Which is true, right?
Yep.
But when you're living in different times, you have to be different. It's like, you know, when we go to Thailand.
Yes.
But we're not going to be stupid to act like an idiot when we're in a foreign country, right?
You respect the land.
But who the hell do we know who's who and
Who's
what's
who in
what?
the zoo? That's
Do you know what I mean?
And that's right. And the thing is, at that time, and PK actually talked about it, which was good. He was already in a certain position, right? If he would have given himself 12 months in hiding and just stuck to going back to promoting himself as he was, he's not in that position where that guy can say something, because I've seen things. I've been involved in things. People prod. People will walk past and bump you in pubs and stuff like that on purpose while they're recording. Women do certain things, other guys will do certain things, and that's sort of the way that the world is at this moment in time, which is unfair. But it comes back to radical accountability. Where you place yourself, the environment doesn't have to change for you. You got to adapt to it, or you don't even go and be a part of it. That's just the way it is at this moment. For not just for high-profile athletes, just the normal bloke who's going for a schooner. You know what I mean?
Now, I created this studio and this podcast for all our community, for our Titan Fitness community, our Elevate community. Now, this is the best part. I also created the best gym in the world. This gym is like no other. I went A to Z. I wanted to make sure that I've got everyone covered at every angle, and that's why we have so many people, international guests. We get people coming from everywhere, the Gold Coast, everywhere across Australia. That's why Titan Fitness is the gym for absolutely everyone. We do everything from boxing, Pilates, yoga, HIIT, pump, spin. But more importantly, we've got one of the best weight training facilities in the world. Our functional studios like no other. Hit the link in the bio. Come down to Titan Fitness. Can't wait to see you. Like in his case, he's too high profile in that
the
position.
situation that happened before.
100%, and the cameras are going to be on you. Everything's going to be on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like me here in Coogee.
Yep.
If I act like an idiot, I'm going to cop it.
Yep.
Right. So I've got to look at how I, hold myself accountable to the area, because I've got a big business here. A lot of people know me.
Yep.
So even in this building, how I hold myself together.
Yep.
There's a responsibility that comes with
the stature.
Stature, 100%.
Yep.
Like, I've got a couple of daughters that work here.
Yep.
We got a lot of females, we got a lot of males.
Yep.
How I conduct myself every single day matters to the business.
Yes.
So whether you're in the media, you're working for that business, but the problem right now is you've got a much higher profile.
Yes.
So that business is paying you. It's like this, right? It's like this building, the members pay. So if I was to act like an idiot and go out to the pub and drink and carry on, if something happened, I'd have to take accountability for that, because I put myself in that position of drinking alcohol, or if I was to go out, and I don't take drugs, but if I was to go out and do that, now it's on me. Now I have no control over that. Right, and Coogee, you've seen what it's like. It's a small town. It's not a small town. It's
small enough.
It's small enough. Everyone knows you, right? And I. Every time I walk out the door, every time I'm in here, I know exactly how I have to conduct myself. And once you bring alcohol into play, you bring other stuff into play, you're not thinking the same way.
And
your reaction is going to be completely different, to be honest.
And everything we've spoken...
And it's not to say I haven't had I've had a few good lashes of drinking, but I do it where no one sees me.
And if you think about it, all the things that we've spoken, all the subjects we've spoken about so far, alcohol was involved.
All of them.
There's the number one.
Yeah, man.
Common, the
denominator.
the denominator. That's
yeah, but
involved.
and
spit it out, Jake.
but Chime's done a fantastic job with Paul Kent. And Paul Kent, to his credit, he answered it going, "Hey, I take it square on the chin." You know what I mean? He did say that. You could see that he was remorseful. You could see that he didn't want to lose a job. You could see that he loved the job. Right? But sometimes what happens is, when you're working in an environment where you're in the media, it's intense. So, you want to take the pressure valve off. He did say in there he was going to have a punt. Say he was relaxed. He was drinking with mates. But when you take the pressure valve off, things have to change, I think, in society in itself.
Yep.
I think we as individuals have to change. I think we all have to continually work on ourselves and become better at all our reactions in helping people.
Yep.
And hopefully we have Chimes on, because I want to hear his side. He's going to be diplomatic.
Yeah, well,
he's a rugby league manager. They all are.
But that's the thing too. That's Chimes' role. He understands his role. He plays it perfectly, you know.
Yeah.
And even the questions he was asking Paul Ken, it was just him leading in to be able to speak about himself. And when we spoke the other day about it, the only thing that really, among other things, if Paul Ken expressed himself in a different manner about players when they did fuck up, maybe so many people wouldn't go back at him. But then he also spoke about the character that he had to play within that you know, system of the media. Because, mate, as we spoke now, speaking now and before, there's also been the thing that's happened over in Las Vegas where apparently they've had a wrestle and an emergency button's been hit in an elevator. Like, does that need to go in the media waves? Like, that's clutching at straws to me. Like, if that's what actually happened, like, seriously.
You know, when I watched that, I was looking at it and I'm going, how do you expect nothing to happen
In Las Vegas.
in Las Vegas, where it's possibly the first time those players have been there?
Mm-hmm.
They allow them to get on the drink on the first day,
Yeah.
right? Go back to the alcohol.
Yeah.
You're in, mate, I've been in Vegas.
Yeah.
I've been in Vegas.
What's it? Is it? Yeah. No.
It's everything they say it is.
Yeah. Okay. Never been.
And if you've never been and you are a drinker, it's a little bit dangerous.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Lucky I've
somewhat
never gone there.
dangerous.
That's good.
And, you know, these guys have got an Aussie accent,
Yep.
blonde hair,
Mm.
so they match the criteria of, you know,
Yep.
what people like there.
Yep.
So that makes it a little hard, because now you've thrown them, like, it's like throwing someone in the jungle.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like that.
Mm.
It's like, fuck, what the fuck's going on here, right? And you know, when it happened last year too.
What happened
was
last
things-
year?
I'm not going to say.
Okay. I didn't know.
There was things that happened that I don't. There was a particular
It was an incident.
a player that did go out and
Yeah. Okay.
had a bit of fun and they let it go.
All right.
High profile.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention names.
Yeah.
there.
Well, if you're putting bums in seats, sometimes don't make the paper. That's.
I don't want to mention. But it did happen last year, but it was covered well.
Yeah.
Only because of the status of the player.
Okay.
And being the first time, they didn't want it to go out. And I reckon the media were ready for it, but I reckon they were more ready for this one going, I hope we see something.
Yeah. But this is the thing. Who did we speak to? It was Braith.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Remember we spoke about the media and the players working together in some ways.
Yeah.
If what happened was a wrestle and hit an emergency button and a couple little punches were thrown, that didn't really need to be out there.
No.
Like, mate, team drinks, if there isn't a stink, that's not a team drink.
Yeah.
I've been involved in team drinks for a long portion of
Yeah.
my life, and I would, you know, that things like that, unless other people in the public are involved or hurt,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if it's within the team, just leave it. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be across the airwaves. The players don't need to come on and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for," like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's my opinion though.
Well, I think one journalist said, what if the punishment was you had to go back home? Like, you know, what are you going to do? What would you do then? And then, like, what's the player supposed to say, mate? Like, it wasn't a big deal.
Sorry
in
for
terms of-
wrestling. Sorry for
100%,
wrestling.
mate. And this is the biggest problem. But going back to Paul Ken, I just want to say one thing. When I had John Opperwhite on here, and we'll go back to some of these interviews,
Yes.
right? And you can ask me about John.
Yep.
John had some scathing words.
Yeah.
John had some.
What is he?
And he didn't mince his words.
No,
when he says it,
Yeah.
like it's...
It comes from somewhere. He believes it, and he says what he means what he says.
There's proper anger.
Yeah. What did
Nice guy.
Did you have, you know, before we usually do a podcast, we sit and have a chat
Yeah,
for 10,
I did.
15 minutes before. Did you do that before you had it with him?
I did, and he look, I like to look. I got friends on on different sides, right?
Yeah.
I got friends on all different sides,
Yeah.
from rugby league managers to rugby league coaches to rugby league players. So, and they've all got a point of view.
Mm.
And they're all friends, but they've all got different points of views. But, you know, John would go on tangents of, look, the best was, look, and no one should feel special. He attacked his wife.
Yeah.
In a nice way. He said she's a shit cook.
Oh, wow.
Right? She's a shit cook.
Wow.
So if you can say your wife is a shit cook and you do the shopping because you don't want your wife to cook, you know what? No one's off the table.
Nah.
Not even me. But he did say at the end, I'm not lying, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
He said, when I'm walking out that door, he goes, mate, you didn't go hard enough on me.
Oh, so he wanted
to be
unload
honest,
a bit.
he went out hard at everyone, but he
Yeah.
wanted me to go harder. But,
Yep.
you know, one thing I'll give John, right? I said to him, like, you've been in a lot of trouble off the field, right? Probably not all his fault. Again, the media pushes everything to the limit.
Yep.
I said, how did you bring up such amazing boys? He goes, mate, I told the boys not to do as I do, right? But to do the right thing. Don't follow me.
Yeah.
I'm fucking telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And you follow that.
Yeah.
And he was so tough on the boys, even when they played the game. He said, and it's funny, he said, I've got 11 kids. Don't fucking waste my time coming out to watch you guys if you're not going to put in 100%. Because if you ain't, you're going to cop it from me. So it was a completely, what I respect about him was, he goes, don't do as I do as I say.
Yeah.
Right? Don't do as I do. Don't follow me.
Well,
do as I say because I'm going to tell you what works.
it has worked.
It has, man.
He's put the runs on the board.
100%.
With his kids, they're all flying.
100%, man. And it's not easy when imagine 11 kids, bro. Like 2 for me was like enough. I think it's 10 or somewhere around there. It's a big number.
Yeah.
It's a massive number. But where I take my hat off to him is that the amount of work he done on the boys. You know what I mean? The amount of work that he put in, and bro, tough lover. Like I mean, fuck, John's tough on him.
Okay.
Like I never forget when I think it was Lehigh, and the boys threw him in the car before John could get to him, because he was going to absolutely give it to him, because
give him a hiding.
He didn't play a good game.
Oh no.
So they threw him in the car before it can get to him.
Fair enough. Mate, you'd want to be playing 10 out of 10s. You'd want to be. He's a big man.
I said, mate, your son's about to debut. I said, your son's about to debut. And he said, because, man, I don't know what he's got. Like, I go, Jimmy says he's played, but he's got a lot of potential, and so does, Tyron, who's his manager.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't see it.
Okay. Well, I do when I watch him play. But you know what too? I think it's that father-son relationship. You know, when we're kids and we want, like my dad played first grade for Balmain, and you want to, I suppose when you're younger, is to be noticed by them and say, like look what I'm doing, sort of thing. And I bet they're extremely proud, and I feel he would be internally, but also he's got to make sure that they're always on their toes. Yeah. And I got no doubt I feel he would say he's proud of them in his own setting, because, like I've seen footage where he gives Lehigh his Tongan jersey. Yeah. And there's an embrace there. Yeah. It's an actual passion.
Well, the thing was, I interviewed him before he got the jersey. Okay. So I could imagine, that's when he was hitting his straps. Yep. And I could imagine how he feels now. Yep. So this was actually the day, the day I interviewed him, it was the day Lehigh was making his debut for Manly in the first grade. Okay. So I can imagine what it's after like now after it.
And mate, he's some of these games I watched him play, he can't be touched.
Yeah.
He's got Mongo strength. Like, he doesn't look very big, but he's very lean and strong.
He said, mate, he was the worst out of all the kids.
Yeah. As in behaviours or
as
in playing?
No, behaviours.
Playing.
Talent.
Oh, okay.
He goes, I don't know what he's got. He goes, people are telling me that he's fast. Because I didn't think he was fast at all. Just the way it was. But you know what that tells me is the amount of work Lehigh would have put in to probably bring him to the level that he needs to be at. Yep. Possibly. I don't know.
Well, mate, you look at the Manly team, right? They're going to go through a rebuild in the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? They're saying, and this is strictly what I've read in the papers and seen come across my phone, Travojevic to 6, DCE will stay for another year maybe, Then they've got the young Australian schoolboys rugby union fly half who's there, who's supposed to come in and play 7. Lehigh go to fullback. They've already got a great backline, that Kohler, Ruben
I heard
Garrick.
Kohler's getting offered
Bulldogs?
$950,000 to
the
play
Bulldogs.
fullback.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to say no to that.
it's a lot of money.
a
And
lot of money.
he was a fullback, wasn't he, before he come
He
to...
was.
And because Tom's got a
Look,
mortgage
he's a
on the
great
number
player
1
too.
jersey.
Like it's going to be. I don't like losing him, but
No.
he's a great player. He can play, wing, center, fullback. He can break a game. He can, score a try from anywhere.
Do you know where I see... I feel Lehigh's a 6. I feel he's a 6.
Possibly,
in my opinion.
Possibly, he's got good hands.
I can see why he does play fullback, because he can get the ball on that sweeping play. But I feel he's got that sort of that game sense where he can inject himself with 6 or demand the ball a little bit more.
You know what I heard yesterday? It was on one of the footy podcasts. It was the old bloody Tigers player. He's fat now. He's big chin now.
He used to play for the Tigers.
Tigers, yeah, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
but he was a big, it was years ago. Fuck, I forget his name. He said something that was very, very interesting, and he goes, I've been saying it for a while.
Yeah.
He said Latrell and Tommy have to either play centre or 5'8", wherever the position is. And then when they get down to the 20 or the 30, they should be a roving fullback.
Okay.
Like they should play whichever side they want to play on.
Yeah.
They stay in position.
Yeah.
And then they rove.
I don't like the roving.
You don't like it?
For me, right? I feel when I'm picking a team, I'm picking it because I know he's going to be there at that time, and I can get him the ball.
You want the system to work.
And that's
the system.
I feel your 6 and 7, they should be moving 100%.
Yeah.
Your 1 should be moving, but to make or to implement your centre and your winger to move to the other side, I understand it's to gain a number and all that sort of stuff. But if you create momentum, lay the right line, and you've got the defence going backwards, you move the ball well enough, you're going to create the overlap anyway.
Yeah,
so
100%.
the roving thing sort of throws me a bit, and I understand why teams do it, but if I was picking a team, if I know Latrell's at 3, Turbo's at 4, I got Tedesco or the bloke from Penrith at the fullback, at least I'm going, okay, well, I'm here. I know I can get the ball to him here because the blind's going backwards. Let's move it. Or let's move it the other way. That's just
no. Look, he played in the centres last year, Turbo, but he came back from injury.
Yeah. He's a freak.
It's not a good gauge to say. That wasn't probably his best game, but they haven't started him fit, and then going, hey, let's give this a good crack for 4 or 5 weeks. Maybe put Lehigh or someone fullback, and then give it a good crack. You know what I mean? But I do believe, I do believe that they're not made for fullback anymore in terms of just how much ground they have to make in each game, especially with their hamstring issues. And they've had a multitude of hamstring issues, and that's just not going away. I can't see that going away with all the work that they've done for their hamstrings in order to come back. And every time you have a hamstring tear, you're susceptible to more tears.
Well, they come. They continue to
back,
come if you don't look after them. Another thing that I read the other day with the Roosters, which surprised me, because nothing usually gets leaked from the Roosters. Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah.
Disgruntled. My favourite word that they used to say all last year, disgruntled. That doesn't come from the Roosters camp, usually.
Look, what I see there...
is that because you reckon they've had a slow start and they're under the pump in the trials? They've sort of just chucked something out to try and create?
I've heard a bit about Robinson.
Okay.
And then I've heard that, I don't think he has the sheds anymore. I don't think he has the sheds. So, and that tells me, if you think about the Roosters, right?
Yep.
They're the team that gets every player to come across. So stay. So look at how many players they lost last year. They lost a lot, and I'm talking world-class international players.
I think it was over 600-700 first grade games.
Bro, it was a lot, man.
A lot of players.
And look, they knew they were going from a year ago.
Yep.
There was no succession plan. They didn't focus on bringing any new centres. There was a lot of players on the market too.
Which blew my mind, right? So you think about this, right? They've let's say 750 first grade games plus internationals, origins. So there was 5 or 6 players, right? Then they've released May, who's in contention
Was
to play
playing well,
Origin.
man.
So and they need a front rower. So it's sort of whoever's
Who's
their
this-
recruitment, because they
100%.
usually have really strong recruitment, the Roosters,
Yeah.
as do the other clubs that are sitting in that 4, 5, top 4, top 5
Yeah.
sort of teams. That okay, if Jared, Manu, Kiri, all these guys are coming off contract, I don't think also injuries. Walker and Brandon Smith, 2 knee injuries, so they've sort of chasing their tail a little bit.
Yep.
It'll be interesting because I know if I'm a 50 to 75 game first grader in a position they need, I'd be calling my manager and saying, hey, mate, is there an opportunity for me to go there? Because I reckon I can do a job for them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I got no doubt they have to be looking for some players to come in and
Mate,
be a
there's
part of their
lot
club.
of players. There's a lot of holes in that team.
there is at the moment.
Like,
There is.
when I look at the Roosters, I look at them as a bottom 4 team.
Really?
Honestly,
Okay.
Honestly, like with the starting 17 that they have.
Yep.
Well, 13, but when I look at the players like, Hargraves is going to be a massive loss. Massive loss.
I
man.
can't say bottom 4 that because I look at their team. There's Tedesco still,
Yeah.
the winger, Tupu, Angus
but
Crichton,
let me throw this at
Butcher,
you.
Radley.
2 of them get injured.
Yeah, I'm going basically off fit. Then if you imagine
Yeah.
this, right? So let's put this out there. They can hang around the 10, in between 10 and 6. You get back Walker, Smith,
Yep.
fire and fit. They do get 1 or 2 players onto their roster. All of a sudden, they're straight back in the mix because Tedesco can hit, mate. I don't think Tedesco's gotten worse. I think everyone just got used to him playing 20 out of 10s every week. Realistically,
Yeah,
that's
100%,
my, he's been the same for 8 years, and everyone's so used to him playing so well. When he doesn't do something extraordinary, he's off.
Yeah.
Mate, he's not off.
But Kiri's a big loss too, man.
massive.
Manu's a massive loss. Like these
The internationals, the Origin players.
and experience, man.
Yep.
There's a lot of experience. Let's see. Well, I mean, I could be wrong. I just don't think they have it.
What do you think? I like the Tigers. I like the way they've recruited. I like it
Yeah.
how Richardson has.
Did you see
Benji's
what Gus
back.
Gould said about Galvin?
No.
He said, mate, he goes, he's a freak. He said,
Yeah.
he goes, I'm not worried about telling people that this kid's got it all.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, because I know he can handle it.
Yeah.
And, for Gus to come out and say that,
But Gus too, remember, mind games. You
True.
pump some. Do you know what I mean? This is
Yeah,
it's
100%.
almost the art of war in media, right?
yeah.
To have Gus Gould, young player hears that, and maybe someone else has a conversation. Do you see what I mean? It's how
Yeah.
it works. I remember too, there was a time, Matty Johns actually speaks about this. He speaks about when he spoke about Ash Taylor. When Ash Taylor signed that $1 million contract and went to
Yeah.
the Gold Coast Titans, and then Ash sort of didn't kick the way that everyone sort of expected him to. Matty Johns still talks. He goes, mate, I said this about him then, and I felt maybe I applied a little bit of pressure in the media for him to do this, and that, and it is true. Like when you have great minds and big personalities within the NRL or rugby league, just in general, come out and say something about a young player. Luke Brooks, as an example, also, just allow them to grow naturally without us placing upon.
Well,
that
you could
sort
see
of
what
burden.
happened to Luke Brooks at Manly.
Yep.
He's
He's firing at the moment, mate.
So there was pressure taken off. He
His
didn't have to
role-
be the main guy that had to
Yes.
create anything. It made a huge impact and a huge difference to his game. And mate, he had a great season.
Well, also too, he has the coach there who's going to be there for, he's got him for 1 or 2 years, and
Yeah.
he's got it, mate, Jerry Evans, the bloke's been doing it for a decade.
He's a freak.
He's a freak, mate,
He's a freak.
and he's got him there.
Well, you know why he's a freak? Like, there's a lot of people that hate Jerry, huh?
Is there really?
Mate, all my mates that are Bulldogs fans.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously they're going to
If you're a Bulldog...
yeah, they're going to dislike
good,
it.
But there's a lot of people...
I reckon he's great for the game. I reckon
Look,
he's great.
To play that many years,
Yeah.
that many games, to play State of Origin on the back of
Australia.
that, represent Australia,
Think
the
about
professionalism.
That's what I was just
The
about to say.
professionalism.
Never injured, always
injured,
turns
man.
up. He's playing 8.5s out of 10s and above
And he
every
copped a lot
week.
of flack too when he was going to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, he got
You know what I mean?
hammered.
Like if you think about the value that Manly have gotten out of him
Yeah.
when they offered him a 10-year contract, then everyone was going, he doesn't deserve it.
You deserve what someone gives you, mate.
The
That's
media
what
were
it
coming
is.
after him hard.
Yeah.
The media were coming after him hard.
And you know what? Think about that. It's on a decade deal. Manly have been in the finals practically every year. Now, they haven't won a grand final.
Yeah, but still.
There's injuries there. Tom's been injured.
Yeah.
You know, some players they've had to bring through in blood. Some players have left, you know.
Yeah.
And remember, we had George Rose on here, and we
Yes.
spoke about their Manly team. You know, like
Yeah, that's right.
they could be building into that. If Cherry Evans can get another 2-3 years out of his legs,
Yeah.
all these young outside backs and these forwards that they have there, they'll be in contention.
Yeah. Look, I've gone for Manly for a long time. I just know how I felt in the first part of Des Hazard's career there.
Yep.
I was very, very confident.
Yep. You're not confident with Seabolt?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not the same confidence I had back then.
Yep. Okay.
That's just me as a fan. Like if you ask me, Mets, how do you feel as a fan? I don't have the same not. I want them to do well. I want them to win.
Yeah.
But if you said to me, if you had to think with your heart and you think with your head, where would you have them? And I think, like thinking with my head, I don't have the same confidence as when the Stewart brothers were there. Well, I mean, Cherry was still there, and
him and Foran.
And Foran were there. So when I looked at that team, I go, these guys can. Even though this team has done the same against the Bulldogs, I just back then with the Watmows, the Stewart brothers, I just felt like there was much more of a bond.
Yep.
The talent's there.
Yep.
Now, right? Like if you look at the backs, the talent's there.
Yep.
But I don't feel the bond is as strong as it was from back then.
Yep.
Not, you know, but that's
They can
not
build
the
into it, you reckon, though? Do you reckon there's potential there for that?
Now, this podcast, Shootout Titan Fitness, I created this to make my life so easy. But what I done, I said, you know what, let's help other people. Let's get other people on this journey where the lights just come on, the camera crew are here, the producers are here. You don't have to do nothing. I wanted to create this for myself. But you know what we've done? We created this studio for others. Why don't you hear exactly what the others have to say about this studio by coming and getting a free trial? Hit the link in the bio. Come and see these guys. They're absolutely amazing. You have to absolutely do nothing and you get the best podcast in the world. Hit the link in the bio and let's go. I believe that there is, but I believe that there needs to be some sort of leadership from someone to bring that together.
Yep.
And like I'll put this back, not just on them. Maybe someone's trying to be that, but they're not that yet.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
You know, like maybe because Cherry was there, maybe Cherry is looking for that someone else.
Yep.
You know, that one other person that has that ability to do that.
Well, mate, I reckon they've got points all around them.
I believe that too.
I reckon they're. If they can nail their defensive attitude, not saying they haven't had it,
but
if they can go into games knowing they can keep teams to two tries, they can score 5 or 6 like that.
Yeah, they need that. Like I've seen experts put them in the top 4. But they need that.
That's what I sort of
they got Morley in the leadership group now.
Yep.
And apparently he's embracing it. Like, and if he can embrace that and bring the other Polynesian boys together, I think that can make a big difference.
Now, I want to talk about the Sharks.
Yes.
Right? Because my man, big Adam Fanua-Blake's there.
Yes.
And this buy, I think, potentially puts them into a prelim if all their team can stay injury-free. Because I don't really see, to be honest, a weakness in their team. Because I love their back row.
A bit. I think they're halfback. Hines.
I like Hines.
Look, I think Hines was playing with an injury last year.
Yep. And that affects you, mate, especially as a
two
half.
things I think that affected Hines.
Yep.
State of origin.
Yep.
Injury. I don't think he's a state of origin player.
Well, I'll put this to you, right?
I actually don't believe he's like.
I was at that game, right? When they sent Suwali or Swala, what is it?
Suwali, yeah.
They sent him off. People were leaving.
But even the year before,
They were leaving.
I don't think he was a state of origin player. I think look, I've seen this for many years. I think some players just are much better club players.
Okay.
And I think if he doesn't get picked for State of Origin,
Yep.
I reckon they go Cronulla go much closer to winning the title.
I personally reckon this, right? In rep teams, if you make it, you're good enough. And if they take you out, it's because you're not playing well enough. Because, mate, in the NRL, right, those jerseys, they don't get given to people. A first grade jersey, just in general, doesn't get given to people, in my opinion. So
I'm not saying he didn't deserve to be there.
No.
I just don't think he's a State of Origin player.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he is. I think he got the rough end of the stick because of Joseph got sent for 10, and that game was over there again, mate, because Queensland tore him apart. And to be honest with you, they should have put 60 or 70 on. New South Wales was still competing. You know what I mean? Then it shifted. You got Latrell Mitchell coming to the team. Moses took his opportunity. I think Hines was sort of a scapegoat for that game one, in my opinion. Can he get himself back into the Origin arena? I feel, depending on injuries and form, because I think, mate, you got to play Moses and Cleary at 6 and 7.
100%.
Yeah, you know,
100%.
Moses has put himself literally there to be talked about at the start. You know, so that there's that.
You know,
there.
it's going to be very, very interesting.
It depends how they want to play, how Laurie wants to play.
I know. I reckon, I believe one of them are going to be on the bench.
As in Moses?
Luai or Moses. I reckon one's going to be on the bench.
Do you think Luai can handle coming on in the middle? I don't think he can handle the middle. I think he's a genuine 6.
But, mate, it's going to be interesting with Laurie Daly this year.
But
I want to go back to Adam Fanua-Blake.
Yes.
I got to spend time with Adam Fanua-Blake, and I got to see him how hard he works. And I want to go in a bit of this too with some of the players that I've, you know, we're almost at 60 episodes, and I just want to go into what I learned from a lot of these players. And I'll be honest with you, I have the utmost respect for anyone that plays the game. It's a tough game. It's brutal. It's real brutal, and that's what one thing I want to say about every player, and because of the brutality. You know, like, and I'll give you an example, Jake. You know, if you play a game, and this is anyone, if you play a game at 7:50 p.m. on a Friday or a Thursday or whatever, or a Saturday, it's so hard to go to sleep. I don't give a fuck who you are and what you do. If you go and do activity late at night and you go that hard where your heart beats are over 200, and you're going into an arena where it's a battle.
There's tens of thousands of people watching.
These guys, like, they need an outlet, unfortunately, and it happens in sport. It happens. But going back to Adam's a beast. And what I love about him, he's a family man, and he morphed into that. And when I interviewed him, one thing I realised was he learned from his past indiscretions at different clubs. He understood what he needed to do and who he needed to repay because they believed in him. And, you know, I seen how he trained in Fiji. I was in a group chat with him on a WhatsApp chat, and my mate that was over there said, mate, he goes, this guy hasn't missed a session. And, you know, it was cool to be able to interview him straight after leaving the Warriors and just to understand him and where his mindset was and why he needed to come back. And what people don't realise was that he actually had to leave from here to go to the Warriors because he needed that space again. He needed that space to go back and find who he was. And you know, one of the stories that, you know, it was on that particular podcast was when he left the Sheds. And he was all over the media for leaving the Sheds that he wasn't a team player. And when I talked to him, the only reason he left the Sheds was because he was disappointed in his game. And he didn't want to show the players of his disappointment in himself.
Oh, so the media span it a different way.
They span it a different way. They said he's not a team player. So what happened was he actually left the Sheds. And this is coming from him. Because he's a tough taskmaster on himself. He believed that he didn't play a great game. And he was so pissed off with himself that he didn't want to see the players. And I think they won the game. I believe they won the game. and he walked
He
out.
just wasn't happy that he didn't play to his
He
standard.
wasn't happy.
Okay.
And then what happened was the media jumped all over it,
Yep.
saying that he's not a team player. And what that would have done, think about it. So Cronulla's offered him a contract, and he's gone there and he sat down with their coach. They said, why should we bring you on? So it could have ruined his next move.
100%.
And to be honest, after speaking to him, that move wasn't done because of that one incident.
Yep.
That move was done because he was ready, because he had that break from Sydney that he needed to come back to Sydney to be with, the people that he needed to be with. And what people don't understand is that, in rugby league, and you can attest to this, right? They go, the player wants to leave, but there's no loyalty from the player. But then the clubs move the players on anyway, and they move players around. So they're quick to say there's no loyalty from the player, but then the club's very quick to get rid of the player. So it works one way.
I'll put this to you, right? So think about this. It's a business, right? But you also understand that narratives are going to come out, headlines, people's emotions become attached. Think of this, right? Cook, Gutherson, and is it Ilias?
Ilias, yeah.
All had years to run on their contracts.
Yep.
Because the coach and the club wanted them to move on so they could bring new people in, which is totally fine because it's a business. No one says anything about disloyalty from the club then.
Yes.
But when a player feels they need to move due to whatever the reason is, disloyalty, rugby league players are this, ungrateful. You got to look at it for actually what it is. Sometimes things just need to change. At the Dragons now, Francis Molo's looking like going somewhere else. Then there's
that's a big one.
You know what I mean? And that's
Is that because he wants to go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I'm going off what I've seen. It'll be interesting when it does break, what sort of truth actually comes out behind it.
Yeah.
But it's been kept pretty quiet, I think, because it's just a lot of it is. And that's actually, besides it happening, nothing's really come out. There's been no narrative, is there a reason? Is it him? Is it something happened at the club? There's nothing that's really come out. So it's an interesting one. But like when clubs and coaches want to move people on, and I get it, coaches want to have their squad and their roster, and if these players, due to the money they're on at the back end of their career, it's affecting the salary cap. These are all things that people don't really understand, which is okay as well. But sometimes players, I don't think Cook wanted to leave the Rabbitohs, to be honest with you, but he got another couple years at another club, which
I think he's going to do well at the Dragons.
I think the Dragons will do well.
Yeah.
Again, barring injuries, because Gutherson, mate, he's a stalwart.
Yeah.
He oozes confidence.
Yeah.
He oozes hard work. And that's what the Dragons kind of needed.
Yeah.
Val Holmes can kick goals, international player. But then think of it, Parramatta gained Zach Lomax, who's had a breakout year and, I got no doubt wants to go to another level at a new club with Mitch Moses and
Let
all
me ask
these
you
other
this,
players.
Zach Lomax, I like Zach Lomax. What if they throw him on the wing? What will happen?
I don't know, mate. To be honest, right?
No, I'm not saying...
No.
I'm saying a hypothetical.
I get it. Hypothetical. This is the thing.
Is that going to affect him? Because he went there for that?
No, he's a freak.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm biased.
Yeah.
I own being biased, mate.
Yeah.
I'm biased to different players for different reasons because I see different things.
Yeah.
Zach's always had that. He just fully lent into it this year and he attacked. And he's going to attack again.
Yeah.
Wing, centre, whatever he does, he's going to play really well. He's going to put himself in contention for rep again, and into those daily M conversations. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And if they do,
and I hope he does. I like Zach. He's a good bloke, man.
Legend,
and,
absolute legend. He'll do exactly what he needs to do, and he'll win them games.
Yeah.
Like scored over 180 points for the Dragons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can say it's because he went to the wing, and that's okay. He did things at centre for the Dragons too that he was doing on the wing. So he'll find his groove.
I wonder how Parramatta's going to go this year.
I like him.
You like him?
I like everyone. I just
pick your top four.
Oh,
I'll put you on the spot.
you got to go Penrith.
Yeah.
I like the Warriors.
Yeah. Didn't they look good, eh? Do you reckon that they're a bit more free without Johnson there?
I think that they're just well balanced.
Yeah.
I think they've got that real good outside back, big bodies.
Yeah.
I love Tuivasa-Sheck back in the team.
Yeah.
He's not spoken about enough. That bloke's
Yeah.
a freak. In my opinion, he's a top
Is he
three.
playing centre or fullback?
No, he's on the wing.
Wing.
Right? So he was on the wing at the Roosters. Coming out of yardage, he
He's
beats three
unbelievable,
people
yeah.
before someone
Yeah.
puts a hand on him, right?
And they got the Penrith front
100%.
rower
And if
from
there's an
last
injury
year.
in the back line, all you do is move him to there.
Yeah, yeah,
Mate, he's the king on the chessboard.
yes.
You just move him one space at a time and he'll go and do his job.
Yeah.
I just like, mate, and then you've got Fisher-Harris.
Yes.
So, that's a swap for a swap. Adam
Yeah.
to leave and then Fisher-Harris come in.
Yes.
They're both top three front rowers in the game. They're not losing
Yeah,
anything
they're not losing
there.
anything. You're not
You know,
losing much.
they're not losing
Yeah.
anything. Mitch Barnett's taken off.
Yeah.
Egan's crafty at 9.
Actually, I'm a big fan of Mitch Barnett.
Yeah.
Big fan of him.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop. But fuck, we've covered a bit of ground there. But
Yeah.
I wanna go to some of these episodes. Like we've done a lot of great players here. I'm trying to think.
Who's the biggest one what conversations affected you the most, Mets? Because I know my one. I was thinking about this the other day. What's affected you the most in like a positive way, made you think about things in the past, things you want to achieve?
Mate, you know what? There's a lot of them that I like, but the person that I enjoyed the conversation with a lot was Shandor Earl.
I thought that.
Like I genuinely there was I felt like there was a lot of emotion in that one for me personally. But honestly, I've taken a lot away from a lot of them.
Sorry, what made you feel emotional towards that conversation?
And I'll be honest with you, and it's probably because I've met his mum, and his mum helped, my daughter, and she's just an amazing, therapist, social worker.
Yep.
Call her what you will, just an all-round amazing person. But to know that Shandor was brought up, single mum.
Yep.
In Woolloomooloo, where she done absolutely everything for him, and just, like before I met Shandor, obviously knowing that he had, the 4-year ban, coming back, getting injured.
Yep.
Everything happening for a reason. The specimen that he is, the type of the diet that he's on, how he looks after himself, how he carries himself. He wasn't resentful to all the different issues he had off field, which, to be honest, a lot weren't because of him. And to take that on and to shoulder a lot of that, just shows it just shows what kind of a man he is, man. And I think I respect that a lot about Shandor, and look, anyone can say anything about any of these guests. I liked all of them.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you who else I liked, and I didn't know much about, was Joshy Miller.
Well, he's been my favourite conversation.
Yeah,
and I can pinpoint the moment, dude, it affected me.
Yeah.
Is no matter, as footy players, right, when it goes, you always have in your mind some what ifs. And I've at times been really good with what ifs, and I've been at times really struggled with what ifs.
Yeah.
And to hear Josh say these words where I was just grateful it happened,
Yeah.
it fucking sunk into me. And I've thought about it since then to now, right?
Yeah.
And I never actually looked at my footy career like that due to the fact that I didn't take advantage of the opportunities that I'd worked so hard for in certain aspects of my professionalism, right?
Yeah.
And as a young man. And when I heard him say, I was just grateful it happened, I sort of sat with that for weeks after, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just grateful I had the opportunity to run out the tunnel with my heroes on certain occasions, to train with them, be around their families, learn with them. I started thinking about my career in a more vast and open lens. And it led me to being a bit more open on my socials and showing some highlights, talking about
Yeah.
football in depth, which has now led to these conversations where I
Yes,
can actually
yeah.
talk about footy in a different light and shed some, you know, some different aspects and on how I express myself with rugby league. And I'm real great. Like the word grateful. I'm grateful. Josh.
I'll tell you, like, there's a lot. Brad was good too, man. Like
Yep.
Bradley was amazing, and like,
Yeah.
I take my hat off to his parents.
Fuck.
Like to hear that at 5 months as parents that
That's
your
rock
son's
solid.
better off having cancer. I'll tell you, there was another special one, and for different reasons. It was Emre that's just gone to the Dragons because his mum messaged me after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his mum messaged me and I messaged back and forth with her on Instagram, and she said,
Yeah.
you know what, Matt? She goes, how good is social media? We would have never been able to connect at this level.
Yeah. And that's the positives we've there's so.
But you
like,
know, let me tell you what else she said on the message, right?
What,
And
man?
it was emotional because she goes, we spoke about East Lakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she said, Mets, do you know how hard I've worked for the kids because I love my kids.
That's mad.
She goes, I sacrificed so much. She goes, now I'm going back and forth to Turkey, but I made sure that he got to where he needed to get to.
Yep.
And my second eldest daughter graduated from the police force. Like I had to do all of that before I could go overseas. I had to make sure they were set. So, you know, as a Turkish mum, she sacrificed a lot for her kids, which was special to be able to chat with the mum on that.
He's a good man.
It's a proud, like you have these proud moments, Jake. I don't, you know me, I don't show much emotion.
Don't?
I show
Really?
much anger. Yeah.
Really?
But, you know, and it's not in a bad way.
No.
It's not in a bad way. Like, and I don't say to people, I always say to people, tell me how you feel and what's the process we can create or a system we can create to make that better. Like what's necessary to change this?
Yep.
And I think, and I'll give you an example, right? There's, you know, and that's what I look when I look at the footy players and I interview all of them. You know, like even George Rose, man, like the guy was like having goosebumps because we were talking about his life.
It's great. And that's
like
what
you see how great do you remember that time at that point how he felt when he had the
100%.
goosebumps? Like you know when people ask me, there's so many great moments in all these.
Yes.
Like when we were able to talk about his career and reminisce, and he hasn't been able to have that opportunity, which was great. So, you know, in my life, there was points where, and Mira probably said it best to me was like, and this was years and years ago, goes, don't ever feel sorry for yourself because no one else is going to feel sorry for you. And he goes, you're the only one that can get yourself out of this.
Yep. Because we put ourselves in it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
So as I moved on in the business, I learned how to get up the next day and get the things done that were necessary.
Yep.
And as hard as some of the days are, it's backing up each day to do that.
Yep.
Like I told you what the week was. I said, this is what happened in the gym.
Yep.
Right? And funny, everything would happen at the second half of the day. So you know when you finish a day?
Yeah.
Well, the bad
It's
news
just
was
revving
after
up.
4:30, bro. Like every day this week, right? But what I done was I went on the offense. And I've learned this a lot of these from the footy players, you know, like they've gone through these trials, tribulations, how they had to overcome this, and you know, like, and we agree. People put themselves in the wrong position and they might get a result from the media that's not right.
Yep.
But because they were there, they've put themselves in a possible story, right? So what I understood was, and this is what I learned this week, I said all these little things that have happened, which I fixed, and the members never see it because I fix it. But I looked back at it and I reflected, right? And I said, fuck, some of these areas haven't been attended to the right way for too many years and they've been patched up. So now if you look at this,
they all come at once to you.
Well, because none of them were attended to properly.
Yes, got ya.
You know what I mean?
Just like a Band-Aid
So
solution.
they were Band-Aid
sort of thing.
solutions. And I looked at that and I go, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to nail it. And I know exactly where we went wrong in each one.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So I switched the frame. I reframed it.
Mm.
And when I done that, I realised, okay, now it's the sequence of events that have to occur for this to work now, for this to happen.
Let me ask you this, right, Mets? So the way I'm a big believer, as you just said, if you do things properly, the reward comes after it. So do you believe, right, all the things that we've spoken about you're going to do to the gym, within the gym, do you feel after that the reward will be what, more members?
100%, because the last 6 months when I done certain areas,
it's gone bang, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
But fuck, I learnt more about aircons in the last 2 months. Think about it. 2 months.
Yeah.
Think about it. Just aircons in the last 2 months than I have in my 27 years in the business.
What about saunas too? Have you learnt more about saunas? It's all happening.
You know, like people don't understand. Like when you run a business like this, you see this room here?
Yeah.
This is a quality room.
Mm.
Apart from those lights, Kenny not turning them on sometimes, the rest has been perfect. Do you know why?
Why?
Because everything we bought in here,
yeah.
and this is after the fact, because when I had done the bathrooms and the saunas, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
In this room, I said, Kenny, I know what you need. You need that computer there.
Yeah.
You need to hit a button, everything turns on,
Yep.
and it's done.
Yeah.
But because I had a podcast before and it was too much going on,
yep.
that was going to make it hard. So when I look at the business now in its entirety, I see it completely different. And all those little things that happened because, not because of right now, or you know how people go, oh, it comes in threes. No, that was already going to come.
Yeah.
That was part of a patch-up issue.
Yeah.
You're patching. And when you look at like rugby league, when you look at sport, when I talk to a lot of these guys, sometimes in organisations, they're just patching things.
Mm-hmm.
Patch this, patch that. We just got to get a result. Let's patch it enough just to win a grand final and don't worry about it after that. Whatever happens, happens.
People only remember the grand final win.
They do, I know. Yeah. No one remembers second, right?
All right, well, let me finish my top four off for you, right?
Yeah.
So I've gone
We'll finish with that. I think this we went well.
Yeah.
We'll
right. And then I'll hear your top four, right?
Yeah,
so
mine's going to be shit. I always get it wrong.
I've got Penrith, Warriors. I'm going to throw Parramatta because I feel the Dylan Brown thing will get finished and he'll have a lot of clarity, and I think that'll kick him on if he stays or if he goes. If he does leave and go somewhere else, you'll want to finish strongly. If he does stay, the commitment will be there because they've got
Just to go back to that, Dylan Brown, 10 years, $13 million.
1.3 a year, apparently.
So
shit.
Now, it's a big move to Newcastle for 10 years.
Is it Newcastle they've thrown that
Newcastle,
money?
Yeah.
Okay.
To move to Newcastle for 10 years, right? Now, what if you don't like it there? Like now, you know Ponga? Forget Ponga having to do all the work. Now you got a new target on your back. I don't know how they're going to keep Ponga and him together.
No, right? And I reckon the Sharks, right? So they're my top four. I've heard, have no idea if it's true. Absolutely no idea. Ponga could be at the Roosters.
I think
that's something that is floating around. I have no idea if it's true. It's been floating around for a bit. But as you said, when you look at you can't have two players on $1.3 million. It doesn't. Your salary cap's
so
when I
look at this here,
unless they can move Hastings because they don't really. Hastings is on a fair bit of money and he's not playing in the halves. So it'll be but that's something that's
You can't have two.
No.
But when I look at this season, if you said to me, well, who do you think the top four is? I'm going to give you my four, but I guarantee I'm probably going to get it wrong. You know what I mean? I'm always going to say Penrith's going to be there because I just like what they've done at the club.
Well, guess what, right? When Cleary got injured last year, Luai just took over and they kept winning. If Cleary does get in, because their hamstrings, their shoulder, like his body seems like it's a little bit out of whack.
100%.
This is a good off-season for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully it all swimmingly and he's fine. If they do get one or two, Fisher Harris is gone. You know, like even though they still have Yo there, they're in a little bit of a funky thing as well. You know, one or two injuries, but as I said
But
before,
they're reserve grade Penrith team beat Manly.
Joke. Their team's the whole system and community is that good.
But I'd have Penrith there. I'd have to say Melbourne because they've been consistent forever.
Yeah.
But then, and I hate saying this because I know too many Bulldogs fans.
Yeah.
They're my mates. I just don't like them. I don't know if you can say that, but I think the Bulldogs are going to be. They're going to be close to being there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say Manly because I go for
have
them.
Have to.
That'd be my 4. But to be honest, I like the Tigers. I like the team that they've put together.
Yep.
I'll tell you who could be a dark horse.
Who?
Christian Wolf and what he's done over there. And I think with Bennett gone, and there's been no one ever to be a successor that's done well.
Yep.
I think the Dolphins could be a surprise packet, and I think Christian Wolf will be heralded as a hero for what he's done on the back of
I actually like that. They're definitely in the top 8. I feel, mate, Hammer. I reckon he's coming out this year. I reckon he's going to go to another level.
Yeah.
He's. I'll tell you a story before we go on Hammer. I was living up in Townsville, and I was at NRL. I was working for the NRL community thing up there, right, which was mad, great job. And part of my job was to go to schoolboys carnivals and be a scorer and watch the games and all that sort of stuff. The Hammer come out playing for the team he was playing for from Cairns, I'm pretty sure it was. He scored, and this is no joke, 4 length of the field tries in about 15 minutes, and then they brought him off. And I'm like, who the fuck is this bloke? They're like, oh, this is the Hammer. He's playing for the Cowboys. And I'm like, oh, sweet. 1 or 2 years later, then first grade, Origin Australia, running the length, doing. I'm just sitting there, I'm going, mate, he's already on the way. I feel when he just can lock in that fullback spot and can just play it, and they build around him.
Yeah,
he'll at the end of his career.
He's a freak.
Gone. They got some.
And I think that, look, a lot of the injured players are coming back this year.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you something now, right? I don't know what it is, but the last few years, a Wayne Bennett coached team has had a lot of injuries. And I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. Like, if you look at the Dolphins, man. They had a heap of injuries.
Yeah.
Before the season started this year, the Souths are the same.
Wow, I forgot about that.
And look, I don't know if Dimitri and Ben Hornby took on the training system that Bennett had, because the last few years at Souths, it's been pretty bad. Like, if you have a look at how many people have gone down at Souths, the last few years, it's been pretty bad. So the season already for Souths has started with a lot of players going down. And if you look at the Dolphins, bro, the last 2 seasons, if they had a lot of those players playing,
different,
it would have been a different story.
If you're enjoying these conversations on this podcast, why don't you come to the retreat? March 16th, Elevate with Mets. You can have these one-on-one conversations while also bettering yourself with other people around you. Hit the link in the bio and come and join us. Did you see how fit Latrell was looking? He was looking fucking lean.
Unbelievably fit.
You know, and he's just going to be simmering now for 8 weeks, getting himself going. I'm looking forward.
Who we were talking to? We were talking to someone, but I think, like, the Cameron Murrays and all these players, they have to have different loads, man. They have to have a different trainer, and they have to be looked at completely different. These guys are playing too many games. There's certain players, right, in certain positions, and I know that, it's contentious, and not everyone's going to agree with me. Not every coach is going to agree with me. But if you go back to the early 90s, Mate, Terry Lamb didn't even train with the team.
I'll tell you this, Matt's right. Blokes, if you're a coach or a trainer and they go, mate, just do 80%, they're not listening. It's 100 because you have to.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. Like that. Like there are some blokes that can get away with it. Like don't get me wrong, I acknowledge that. Blokes like Cameron Murray, as an example, hey mate, just ease up a bit. The computer's
With the
saying
training,
this.
mate.
Yeah. So mate, you just go about 8. He's not. I feel watching him and things. I've heard how he trains and how fit he looks. It's 100%, or he's not going out on the field. Because you sometimes you got to save them from themselves, mate. Because that is just hammer and tong.
But even like looking at them properly from top to bottom and going, hey man, you know, your left shoulder, it doesn't look good, or whatever it is.
Yep.
But I just feel that you can get a player fit and ready to play, but you might have to adjust a few things to make that happen.
They've also got to buy into it, you know. Some things that have worked for them to get. There's all these variables.
It's so hard to deconstruct that.
Yep.
Like I don't envy that job.
No, fuck.
I wouldn't even go near it.
No.
I wouldn't even go near it to reconstruct that. But if I'm looking, it's like me in business, bro. I just look at patterns.
Yeah.
I look at patterns, and if I look at a pattern and I go, if I continue to do the same thing, getting the same result, and if I don't change it, bro, I'm irritated the fuck out of me. You know what I'm like? Think about what I just said to you. I know why that happened.
Yeah.
I know the pattern that caused that.
Yep.
And so now that I know that, I feel a bit more comfortable. I know what the next conversation has to be to fix that from not. Well, it's gonna look. Everything's gonna wear away.
Yeah. It's just a part of it.
It's like me getting older, right? Certain things aren't gonna be as good as when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I have to go, okay, what do I have to do to accommodate that? And in business is the same. Player management and what they have to do as well has to be the same. Like it's even in this business, bro. I take on the most pressure because I know I can, right? I don't get everyone to take all of that on because I know it's going to knock them out. Like today, I was running like a headless chook. Not in a bad way, but I was just figuring out the problem.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but I just feel, bro. I just feel that the loads of the players, and it's hard because this player goes, "Why do I have to train harder than him?
Well, that's what.
Why do I have to do this?
That's another thing.
Why isn't he doing this?"
100%.
But what I would do is I'd go, "Okay, Latrell, you've got to be at this weight. These are the times you need." So I'm making Latrell compete against Latrell's weight and what he needs to do. So, for example, say he's running a 9 or 10 second.
Yeah.
I go, all right, how can we make that now more efficient, more faster?
Yeah.
I want you to move from side to side because now I've got this going. Now I need to do this.
You know, would it be good if we can get in touch with an S&C at a club to get them on and actually have a breakdown of what they do? That would be interesting.
James Ramey thinks he knows everything.
Yeah.
He treats fucking... like he's up there with that, but his mindset's a little bit different.
Yeah, because I'd love to ask him.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like one of the young kids who plays top level soccer, he was doing legs today, and I just helped him. Yeah. And he said, James said he's got to do free weights. I said, force is force, right? I go, if he's running on the field, moving from side to side, cone to cone, I go, that's completely different. He does that. If he's got to work on his balance and he's got to be on a Bosu ball, that's different. We don't lift heavy there. But we create force in the perfect symmetry and equilibrium on both sides so I don't compress his back, compress his lower back and hurt him. Like I'm not going to give him something where I know he can't do the technique.
Properly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's how you cause injury like that.
This is, bro, 100%.
Right.
But then if he's got to get out there and he's got to move from side to side and I can pick an exercise where I can control that exercise and push him to the limit, just so he makes those movements, I'll find out the way to do that without hurting him. And this is where I think S&C go wrong. I honestly do. I've spoken about it to my brother a lot and I said, mate, these guys have got it totally wrong, man.
Do you think that's the cause of some of these injuries these players go
through?
through?
You seen how these, like you have hamstring tears and you don't train hamstrings properly and you want to throw it up. Think about it like this. Okay, I'm going to give you the best analogy. Your elastic band, I'm going to grab it like this, right? I'm going to go slowly at the start. Now I'm going to go fast. When I keep going fast, I'm going to create lesions in that elastic band and it's going to snap. That's, if you look at tendons, that's exactly what they are. So if I'm making them snap like this all the time, all the time, eventually it has to give. It has to give. But if I strengthen those tendons and I go slowly on the eccentric and the concentric part of the movement,
Yeah.
and I control it, especially the hamstring, bro.
Yeah.
Because if I'm quad dominant, and most things are quad dominant when we're playing,
Yeah.
if I don't balance it with the hamstring being a lot stronger,
Yeah.
I'm going to tear it a lot more.
Well, let me ask you that. So Cameron Murray's done an Achilles tendon. Now, I've heard Achilles tendons are injuries that 70-year-old tennis players get, mucking around. Like it's one that, it's really strong, right? So he's late 20s, right? Is that the cause of too much rugby league, or is it too much weights, or is it a combination of both and overload?
It's overload, bro.
Yeah.
Because look, the reality is you got to focus on your ankle mobility. But even in rugby league, bro, we know ankles go a lot.
Yeah.
They go a lot because of this side-to-side movement.
Boots, all
the
of
reality is that the boots and like, as hard as it is, right, I'd have my ankle strapped all the time.
Yeah.
But what happens if there's no give in the ankle and I'm not stretching and I'm not doing enough stretches and mobility work, it's probably going to go.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen some of the type of training that they do where they're trying to, they use a trap bar and they've done bands around that and they're trying to jump up fast. I mean, do you know what that does to the ankle if you do it over and over again? You make me run, I'm under fatigue, now I'm doing these lifts.
Is there any positive in that?
Mate, look, unless you're playing, unless I'm a basketballer trying to jump high, but I believe if I looked at that, if I looked at a way that we had to get someone to jump higher, I reckon I could figure it out without doing all of that.
Okay.
I believe I can.
Yeah.
Because I want to do it the safe and the most effective way.
Yeah.
But, if like, I'll give you an example. I had a young kid on the hack squat.
Yeah.
And they got more range of motion because of the way the machine's built and the engineering. I said, if I could get you now training with more mobility, going down further with a lighter weight and not compressing your spine, I'm working on your mobility. And if I hold you down the bottom in a static position, now I'm working on your mobility and your strength at the same time. So if I can work on that at the same time and get you to stretch more and have more mobility, I'm doing two things in the one go. Obviously, at some point, I have to work on your strength a bit more to get you incrementally stronger. But like, when we're doing the one set, if you're recovering enough and resting enough between sets, you're going to get stronger. So there's ways around it. It's just what it is people just haven't used the technology, the technique to be able to test it to make it work.
That's an interesting one because those injuries, they're big injuries for the body.
Bro.
Like he may not be the same player when he comes back
Could
because they affect everything. It affects your running style, how you move, confidence.
KD had an Achilles.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, and he came back and they won the Olympics last year. But the difference between the basketballers, bro, they got their own coach.
Yeah. They're
Do you know what I mean?
Specific.
They're specific, bro.
They're specific.
And this is the problem with rugby league. It's a lot harder than basketball. There's much more contact. The training is, bro, it's over the top. You know what it's like. You know what I mean? And then like the contact they make you guys have matching up at training, especially some of these clubs, like you're almost getting ready to get injured. You're probably going to get injured at training.
Well, I'll put this to you, right? Like, if you
I'm not saying it doesn't work, bro, but what I'm saying is, like...
But this is the mindset of in rugby league. If you don't have 2 or 3 niggles by the time the season starts, you haven't had to go in pre-season. Mate, people don't understand unless you do a pre-season or even just a day of it, come and watch it.
Yeah.
You're fucking revving at 10. You come to a Tuesday morning, there's, right, conditioning into contact, right? Then wrestle, then you get on these sort of circuits where you're running into contact, then wrestle. And it's not one-on-one. You're going into 2 or 3 blokes sometimes because tackle tech needs to be worked on, third man in, then there's a kick chase, then there's a defensive set. Like there's all these routines. And I understand it because it's muscle memory to be able to work like that under fatigue. But then guess what you do after that in the afternoon? You're doing fucking leg weights. Like it's, like that's what...
So when you want to get your legs stronger?
Yeah.
So this is how we do it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do any type of Stairmaster or cardio or bike to be able to lift the proper weights
Yeah.
for my quads.
Yeah.
Because now if I'm going to go do legs after that,
Is there
it's
any point in doing-
counterintuitive,
That's
bro.
what I was just about to say. Is there a point behind it? Like, is it
no,
that-
like if I was to do legs, say in the morning today,
yeah, and then go for a run this afternoon?
look, I would go for the run.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run at my best because I've just fogged my legs.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It should be like, what can I give? I'm fucked up already.
Yeah.
You don't do it the other way around.
Yeah, okay, got ya.
But
Yeah,
they
it's an
do it the other way
interesting one.
around.
Yeah.
Like, you know what'll happen?
Mm.
I'll give you the perfect example. If you do legs later and you fatigued yourself and you try and break records now,
That's an injury waiting to happen. I put. Let's see what happens about middle year, and see what sort of injuries have come about, because it could be an interesting conversation to have, because the pre-season's just happened. There's an Australian player, Origin player, who's just had a massive injury. Latrell's obviously got a little hamstring tweak. So it'll
I'm
be interesting
surprised
to
these
see.
guys haven't fucked their lower backs up, mate. Is there a lot of
Well,
lower
they're
back
probably
injuries?
they're probably playing. But to be honest with you, mate, if you're not playing
Bro,
injured,
they
you
don't
haven't
even wear
trained
a
hard.
belt.
Like, that's what I'm
They don't
saying.
even wear a belt. And some of these guys are 6'5",
Big humans.
doing squats, like barbell squats, and they don't even have the best ankle mobility because most of the ankles are fucked.
Do you
Why the fuck?
do you see the way some of the
Bro, there's a lot of
trained
great player that came. I was
Yeah.
playing for the Roosters.
Yeah.
He came, and I was training with him,
Yeah.
and he was working with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I go, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
He was like sideways.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not lying. He goes, bro, they push us so much. We've got the worst technique, so I'm training like this. I swear to God, I go, mate, your left side's completely different. By the end of it, I got his technique better, and I got him to almost even. But he goes, this is what footy's done. He was only 20 years old.
Fuck.
That's a 20-year-old, bro.
Poor buggers. Yeah.
And I said, what the fuck happened to you? But that's what they do, bro. Like, I mean,
They're trying to compensate.
look,
You're trying to
they're not-
compensate.
yeah. Anyway,
Mate, I
that
reckon-
was great, bro.
That was good. We covered some points.
Yeah, fucking.
I
hell.
reckon we could do these, pretty
Once
pretty
a month,
more
we're going to
often.
bring Chero on anyway.
Yeah,
too.
we are.
Look, credit to Chero. I told him what he needed to do.
Yeah.
He went ahead and done it himself. I watched his video. I sent him a message. I was like, bro, you're looking like a beast.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Chero on
Yeah.
soon.
Which will be good. We can do like
Yeah.
a breakdown of every 4
Yeah.
weeks for rugby
Yeah.
league or something like that, and give our
Yeah.
input on some stuff.
Yeah, 100%. He's got good technique. His deadlifts were perfect with the dumbbell. I was watching it.
Yeah, he's on his way out here actually
Is he?
too, so the
Oh,
big
we've
human
got to see
will be
him,
here shortly.
All
He'll
right.
be here shortly.
Over and out.
Yes.
Thank you.